Jeff Bohn from Tree of Life Nursery.
Yeah.
So I had a little introduction I wanted to give before Mike comes up here, and then we'll have Jeff join in later as well, and then we'll have them all answer questions at the very end. So a lot of us are here tonight because either you garden with California native plants, and Tree of Life Nursery is where you first learned, shopped, and found everything you needed to create a thriving garden. You've probably heard Mike Evans speak before, so you know how inspiring and thoughtful he is. But not many of you have had the chance to get to know his co-founder, Jeff Bohn. Having worked with both Jeff and Mike as my employers and mentors, I'm really happy that I get to introduce both of them later on. Mike and Jeff not only mentored me in native plants for restoration and landscape design, but they also offered mentorship for life. They often spoke about the healing qualities of Tree of Life Nursery. And at the time that I worked for them, I thought that I knew what they meant, but having stepped away for a few years, I think now I see a little bit clearly how healing Tree of Life really was for me, and still is. Maybe none of us will fully understand the impact of Tree of Life until years after it closes this December. But I recently heard scientist and author Robin Walt Kimmerer say, "How will we ever learn to fall in love with the world if we don't pick berries?" And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's what it was. That's what Tree of Life gave to me. The land, the plants, the customers, and the team that I worked with at Tree of Life Nursery all helped me fall in love with the world again. Now, Jeff has never been one for the spotlight, but I know that every success at Tree of Life has his fingerprints all over it. For 45 years, he's been rooted on that land, watching the weather, ordering materials, checking for pests. A ground squirrel really hates to see him coming. And ensuring that healthy native plants are always ready for wholesale and retail customers. Now Mike, during the years that I worked with him, was the idea man. Most of his ideas floored me with how clever they were. But as an employee, a lot of his ideas had me really panicked. Like, where the heck does this guy think we're gonna find the time to make this happen? I'm still working on the idea he had before lunch today. But there really was no aspect of the business that Mike shied away from, and his always optimistic "we grow" philosophy was the inspiration that made all of us work hard to make those lofty dreams a reality, and it was really fun to do it, especially with Mike and Jeff. Together, Mike and Jeff built the Tree of Life Nursery that we all know and love today, and have helped keep California looking like California for the last 45 years. Now, it is my honor to introduce the co-founder and president of Tree of Life Nursery, Mike Evans.
Thank you so much, Katie. Those were very kind words, and Jeff and I appreciate that. Jeff's right here in the front.
I knew.
I've been here before with you, and we have shared some great times in this room and some great times at Tree of Life Nursery, for which we're all very grateful over the years, and we'll be able to express that again on Saturday and in the weeks and months to come, and I hope in the years to come, because we're not going to lose this community that we've got, not just started, but is thriving. But what I'd like to do tonight, if it's okay with you guys, first of all, if you're a Tree of Lifer, if you like Katie is one, she's a Tree of Lifer. Pamela is a Tree of Lifer. Raise your hand, all the Tree of Lifers that are Wow, look at this. People all work at Tree of Life at one time or another. So you all represent all of them, and they're, believe it or not, like Ramiro, who's here now, was there from the start with us. You know, just, we're not sure exactly when we started, 78, 79, 80 right in there, so we rounded it up to 80, 45 years. That's about when he came. Ramiro Rodriguez, his wife Ophelia's here. My wife Hilda's here. Jeff's family couldn't make it tonight, but here we are, okay? And we've been in this room together before, and I've used slide carousels to give talks. In fact, I found one from about 30 years ago that I gave here, and I looked at it, still no pirating out of the carousel, all the slides are there, and I thought, that's a pretty good presentation, I should do that again someday. It's still relevant. Anyway, what I've done tonight, and I hope this is okay with everybody, some of these slides Jeff hasn't really seen in the last day or two, that we've been, a few days that I've been working on this. Pretend that I had a real presentation of slides that represent Tree of Life Nursery in its first 20 years. It happens to be that the first 20 years of Tree of Life Nursery were pre-digital camera, and the second 20 years of Tree of Life Nursery were all on digital. Okay, so that worked out. Also, the first 20 years we weren't open to the general public very much. Patty Race is here, who kind of became the face of Tree of Life for us at Casa La Paz. In what year did you start?
25 years ago.
Yeah, oh, in 2000.
Yeah, 2000,
Right.
2002.
Right, so there are no pictures of her, and this one. But if you come into your spring, where's your program people? If you come into your spring months, or sometime after Christmas, and you got a month that you just kind of blank, you can't figure out who's going to come and give you a talk, we'll do the second 20 years if you'd like. And in that, there would be pictures of all of you at CNPS events and public events and that sort of thing, because that's when we really opened the doors to the general public. So what we're going to see tonight is this sort of smattering of random slides, images that speak to the times when we were growing plants kind of with closed doors, when it was wholesale only. Is that okay? And I'm going to ask anybody in the room, especially Jeff and Ramo here, to help me on this. So, for all of you that are wondering, this is a slide projector. And it shows pictures on the wall. Because we're going to need the house lights to come down, please, if they can.
If you have a light above you, you can just pull the...
And you never know which
You can reach the chain, and then these ones out in the middle.
It's a wall. Get Ron to do it. No, that's It's probably in the back.
Okay, we're not.
This is part of the adventure.
It'd be great if we could
See it really well.
That's the one you want.
Okay, so essentially we are plant propagators. And these are some walnuts collected, ready for sowing. Oh no. So we have a nursery, we're going to call it La Quad Ranch, before we were at the place we are now. Here's an order being assembled. We used to ship in these fruit boxes that a guy brought us from the back of a Mexican market, and they could stack in this old stateside truck that looks like Fillmore home in Tijuana. And this was our delivery fleet, and this is how we delivered plants, stacking them in those fruit boxes, and that was a pretty big order, as I recall, Jeff. So we were proud of that. I took a picture. We tend to measure our epochs in life and at the nursery, and which dog did we have then? So I believe that is Casper, and I'm not sure who that other is. Is that you? Okay, so here's our barn, the first one, the one that burnt down, when it's under construction in 85, right in there. 1985, this is the barn that burnt. This is the nursery that you all know as on Ortega Highway with the irrigation lines being laid. Like I said, there's going to be some back and forth. It's going to keep us lively here. You're not in sequence. There is varieties for vermifolium in 4-inch pots in fruit boxes for easy shipping to go Ron Vanderhoff to the street corner across the street from Rogers on MacArthur at, is that San Joaquin Hills? That was an apartment complex. They took out the turf, they planted ribes on 1-foot centers. It was the right thing to do. You see, they were native and all that. They lasted about 3 years before they got tired of them and took them out and put turf back in. Yeah. Under those pines. Pines are still there. It was a big order for us. We grew some plants at one time on the La Quad Ranch in paper pots from Finland. So these were paper pot systems. We tried a lot of stuff. Oh, here's a mimulus field. We thought we were going to get rich. David Verity at the University of California, Los Angeles, David Verity had hybridized mimulus, and he gave us his entire career of hybridization in mimulus for us to, quote, introduce. And we slammed names on all of these: Skylark, Iceberg, Meadowlark, Fiesta, and we didn't get rich. There's Jeff digging what looks like somebody's grave, but actually we thought that it would be best to, what were we doing? We wanted stable temperatures to pre-germinate oak seeds. Does that sound right?
I think that's either that or
Or get rid of But I think we were of the opinion that the oak seeds which were sown in that Tupperware needed to be not fluctuating temperature day and night during the germination period. And there they are in the fall. First nursery, some sort of event with, hey, is that your dog, Rami? Güero? Is that a ranger? No, that's Güero. Right?
Yes. That's the front of the barn.
That's the front of the old barn that burnt. Ramos was living at the nursery at the time in a little trailer as our caretaker, and he had this dog, which disappeared for 2 days, came back all scarred up. The DFG biologist happened to be there, and he said, yes, for sure, lion. Oh. There's Jeff Bohn finishing the sump that held the water that cooled the greenhouse when it was brand new. There's Jeff Bohn. What's he doing? He's got bulbs. He's still sifting these bulbs last week. Could be, huh? I think those are bulbs. This is a person called Brenda who worked for us way back when. She was a biologist, and she is tending some plants in the propagation section at the La Quad Ranch. A little fire here at the Ortega O'Neill property. Pumpkins. One time we thought we were going to get rich. So that was a separate time. We were working on our second million. Our first million never panned out. And this was beautiful field of miniature pumpkins before they really were popular. We were trendsetters, except they were all ripe, and I mean ripe, like totally ripe, on Labor Day. So now, like 40 years later, the smell of rotten pumpkins, I can't stand. See, there's my wife Hilda. She's pretty much exasperated. This is probably some day in September. I'm not kidding you. We moved them to the shade of some oak trees down at the O'Neill's thoroughbred farm, just trying to save them. It was terrible. Stick to what you know how to do. Don't try to get rich on anything else. Okay, so we did a little job at San Onofre way back when, and we planted some roads that were to be no, this Crystal Cove?
No.
San Onofre.
Yes, well, it was.
Yeah.
They did increase it.
Yeah, San Onofre State Park, Julia, Angela de la Valley, and somebody in the back, maybe Robbie, on a big cart watering the plants that we had planted. Okay, this is our nursery here. You there's Miguelito. This guy could make hats out of palm leaves. I still have some of his hats on the quad ranch. There's a boy called Daniel at our first greenhouse on the quad ranch. That guy has a son in college, and he's the one that did our website. He takes care of all our graphics over all these years, and he also is the lad who is designing all the work for the California Native Horticultural Foundation as we speak. You know that mound that you all love right outside Casa La Paz? You know that Lester Roundtree manzanita that you all love? That's that 5 gallon on top of that. That's the day we planted that mound. And that's the Lester Roundtree that to this day is everyone's favorite. The mound has settled considerably from that time. It was much higher. And this is it, again from a different angle at, a year or so later. And this is it again, kind of making progress with the Lester Roundtree now making some real progress, becoming a plant of its own. That's more like 2000 or so. Why did I put this slide in here? Anybody know anybody in here? Songs, are you in here? There's Bramlett. Rancho, I think. No, actually, this is at Cal. This is the Port Committee for the Jepson project, I believe. You know how in the Jepson, the printed one, you know, I remember that one? Not the 1930s one, the recent one. It has horticultural information. We met in the committee to give that input. Where are we here? That's the Ortega Nursery. This is a plant called Agave Lisa, which is a Huntington plant from Gary Lyons, and apparently no one can find the source of this in the state of Veracruz once it got to the Huntington. This is at the Donna O'Neill garden. Look at the size of it. It's amazing. This is the friend and of mine and the foe of all things alien. Jeff Bohn, aiming at something that doesn't belong on our ranch.
You're making me out to be somebody else.
No, I want to be clear. He was doing this on our behalf. Somebody had to do it. Okay, it's not just like he's evil. This was like purity. We don't like them invasives. Okay, so this is a ladder on top of a truck or something that you don't want to see the rest of the photo. Pollinating, hand pollinating an agave in the absence of bats. This is a similar species. There's Gloria with tamales. Do you know tamales? Those are air-layered Mahonia Golden Abundance that she herself invented after seeing air layering at a nursery in Phoenix. We all went there for a conference, and she saw that they were air layering Parkinsonia Desert Museum, and she took the idea home, and a hard-to-root plant hybrid called Mahonia Golden Abundance, she could get roots in the air layer. And here's something I threw in for Orange County CNPS. This is Fred Lang and Carlin Marsh. And they are digging dichondra to salvage it from a development at Laguna Sur, at the top of the hill, Nigel Hill. That's a historic photo right there. And this is a guy called Jeff Bohn, and we used to throw a lot of seeds like that. We'd go out and just close the nursery. Kind of like surf shop, we used to say Dawn surfing. We would close the nursery, Dawn seed collecting. This is at time. We were stoked, we're just like getting started. Wow, Trichostima right next to Cupressus in habitat. Oh, look, Archistaphus otiensis. It was really special. All right, nice day at Tree of Life. Here are some germinated seeds of.
Those are more balls.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, Jeff literally the last week or two has been sifting for the last time bulbs which you can find for sale at Casa La Paz this fall as a result of those efforts. Okay, this is a really important program. We thought that the pink flamingo, the symbol of domestication in gardens, should be liberated, and that native plants should be allowed to take the place of the pink flamingo. So we set one free. It was an amazing. It was an absolutely amazing moment in the life, in the work of California horticulture. The pink flamingo, free, and native plants could come in where these tropicals and weird plants had been for so long. Yeah. Oh, you know what I never noticed before? Those vultures in the tree. They were there even then. Oh my gosh, those vultures have been living and roosting in that tree for a long time. Okay. Miguel and some others threshing some seed of the grasses that we used to grow commercially. You can see the sheaves back there, and threshing. Okay, back to some early day when the standpipes are up. Right, Rama? What's the soil piles for? What are we doing here? Got a little mixing going on? A little canning pile started. You have to know that we had 2 nurseries going for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. That was where we were leaving the La Quad Ranch and we were building this. And Jeff was mostly at the La Quad Ranch and sometimes here building. And I was mostly here building and sometimes at the Quad. So Jeff was growing plants on the San Juan Creek Nursery, San Juan Creek Road. We weren't open to the public. You may not know these things. And I was developing with Ramo this site. So he was the grower, I was the builder for a while. And he'd come here and we switched back and forth. Okay, there's an educational from one of our first catalogs, Ceanothus concha, showing the Ceanothus stem gall moth larvae doing its damage in the stems of Ceanothus concha. Okay, back to the grasses. We used to have fun every now and then. We had a thing, Jeff and I would stand out next to something dry, a pile of leaves or a field of grass, and make a bet whether it would burn or not. Bet it will, bet it won't. I bet it will, I bet it won't. And there's only one way to find out. Well, back to the nebulous hybrids. What do we got going here? Oh yeah, we did have a fire. It was not a result of this. This thing did not go away from us. Okay? But we did have a big fire in '88, which was the Indian fire. Look at, they've got a press room. They got the cameras over at Casper's Park. It's an event. And I kept going over like 3 times a day and into the night. Hey guys, I'm right next door. I'm defensible. I got roads. I got fire roads. I got fire threats. And I'm talking to some forest guy from Idaho, you know. But it worked. We're still there. This is a fellow called Ted St. John. He was the guy that headed up our mycorrhizal program for us, PhD Ted St. John. What do we got going here, Jeff? The beginnings of strip? No. The area that these were mother plants. We were told by our hero, John Gurley, that any nursery worth their salt would raise their own mother plants. That we were welcome to take cuttings at Rancho up to a point, that at some point we had to have our own cutting board. And so we took mother plants pretty seriously with this drip irrigated beds of the different cultivars that have to be grown from cuttings. Here's Gloria planting some little seedlings using the mycorrhizal inoculum in the process. Here's a Jeff planting outside the office. Yeah, there's the little ramada, and there are some plants going in right outside the office. What we got going here? Looks like willows. We'll get to willows in a minute. Okay, there's a dog called Boomer, and we stapled shut some kind of box with some kind of seed. Acorns, yeah, for the jays and the rats, yeah. Planting that grass field, we thought we were going to get rich the 3rd time by planting Mulibergia on a big section of the new parcel that we leased, and growing it for commercial production of seed for hydroseeding and things like that. We put in about 5 acres of Mulibergia. And this is a separate field of stipa that, well, this is the metallurgy field up at the racetrack place. And that was at where the tank, the cell tower is. Yeah, maybe this, yeah, you're right, this could get metallurgy too. I thought that's stipa here. Anyway, we could get away with this kind of stuff back in those days. We thought, and we were right, that it gets darn cold. It didn't just cold recently. And so we had to protect many of our tender crops in the winter by tucking them in every night with this frost protection, elaborate tent system. Right, Rami? How many times do we do this? Hundreds of times. And dozens anyway. And how much do you gain from this, Jeff? You get like 3 degrees. So if it's going to be 19 outside, it's 23 or 22 under there, which can make the difference. Okay, there's another good dog. This one's called Casper, and he's taking a nap on top of some harvested Bloombergia in our new barn. He was a good dog. There's a rustic fence around where the fountain is at Casa La Paz. And I remember building this with found materials. I saved all the mesquite, all the palo verde, all the acacia, all the marsal, everything that was legume from the desert. We never threw the branches away, and I was very careful this way. And we were building this fence, and some of our guys were just blown away, right, Rami? They said, I can't believe I crossed the border and working in America, building a fence like this. They knew how to do it, though. I just said, you do it. Okay, you know, we had school groups every now and then. Okay, there is the website, www. Go there, and then look at the coffee cup has a 714 area code. Oh, there's some a staged photo of sugar bush in various stages of its life. There's the seed in the little pan all the way up to. We played around with paper pots for a while, that deep pot of the sugar bush there. So those are all stages of paper pots. Oh, mycorrhizae. We grew celery, and this was the host plant for our beneficial fungus called Lamus interradices, which Ted St. John helped us get this off the ground, and Kitty then took over from there as our resident plant scientist with mycorrhizae, and this is the production of a host plant. Those root balls became inoculum. Oh, look, back to the.
It came home.
Yeah, I think this is before we released.
This is still before? Oh, it's out of order. He never came back. Never did come back. So at one time we were convinced, and it's true, that in certain situations you need to steam, pasteurize certain soils and for hygiene. And we set that all up for a while. There's some villas in a minute. And there's one of our steam pasteurizations experimentos, and that's at La Paz Ranch.
Yes.
That's cool. So that's our shed, our potting shed at the La Paz Ranch. And we first started messing with steam pasteurization of potting medium back then. There's a more sophisticated version. That's a version called Frida. Some of you may remember her. And that's aerated steam going into the potting medium. Here is a thing that we tried. I still have that knife on me today, right now. That is a pot with a, looks like Hollywood cherry. Oh, it says right there, and we made our own tar paper tubes by, scoring a roll of tar paper 5 times, folding it over, stapling it. We had a regular production. Who was in charge of this, Rami? Isidro. Con los 6 dedos. Yep. This is on day, okay, this was, you could have just taken this home and or anyone could have taken this home, put them in the oven at 250 and fine, but this is more romantic. These are actually cupressus, forbs the eye, and we're opening the cones in order to extract the seed for sowing. So that was kind of a dramatic way to get this fire follower to open its neck cones. Oh man! Are you sure that he never came back? Okay, this is the bridge to the next place over there. Katie, you built a meditation garden at the end of this bridge, right?
Yes.
Years after this bridge was built. It's still there, it's beautiful. Here's a little party at the old barn. Small party, most of our parties in those days were, because we didn't know all of you. We were still wholesale only. And so we had borrowed this little barbecue for some event. Oh, that's not looking good. Those are dead plants. Okay. So truth be known, maybe it was frost. And here we have, I could go into great detail, but this was a project where we had to salvage from the Sweetwater Marsh in National City. What's it called?
Spartina.
Yes, thank you.
Cordgrass.
Cordgrass, Spartina, in order to hold it long enough for them to build a freeway and then put it back, which we did. You want to know the real take home on this? No one thought to reacclimate these particular plants to tidal, saline conditions. So they were grown, and it wasn't our job to be thinking about that. We grew the plants. They do well in fresh water. They don't do well when they've been in a nursery for fresh water and they're put it back in their homeland, and then 6 hours later comes high tide. That was a lesson learned for all. There's steam sterilization or pasteurization of soil media at the old barn that burned down. There are some dead plants. Oh, this is August, or this is the big burn. We had a time when we did something really dumb, only once. Really did something dumb.
This is another one. There's numerous ones.
There's a lot of blunders. Sure. Well, someday we should write a whole paper about it. But see all those dead plants in the back? Those are the plants that are stacked up. And these dead plants, that's probably an organic fertilizer that got applied wrong. I think there's a fire out down there. Okay, I climbed up on a hill across the way from the nursery, looking down at it. Thought that was pretty cool. There's the San Juan Creek, Casa Park, the hill itself, and no cell tower. Tiny little pines which all died. There's a nice shot of the nursery. Glory, the winter shot, here's January time, winter again, sort of cool. These were fun shots. Okay, so I'm one of those guys that says, may I have the next tray, please? For all of you that remember. So, Pamela, how can we do this? Just one leg. Okay, this will be fast. See, that was... Is it okay? I mean, I remember, you do too, when you couldn't stand it any longer and the guy says, can I have my second tray, please? Okay. Everybody's like,
No, it's not like that.
we'll bring it through them. We're trying. Okay, just as like before, laying out the irrigation. That's taken from the corner of what is now the barn. We're laying out pipe, 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch. We were having a bad time. This is the plant I just asked Ron the botanical name of because I could not remember. But every now and then we do something unusual. This is Toria californica. And Hilda and I were in the Sierra National Forest, not park, where this seed fell into my backpack and came home. Not park, not national park, national forest, land of many uses. And so this was a great crop of a very unusual plant, California nutmeg, and there are none to be, maybe some of you have around that. This is another one that Jeff was very good at propagating, and it was really hard. Lilium humboldti from scales and seed. He would take it apart and plant individual scales off of the original bulb, if you will, and seed as well. And we grew a pretty good batch of Humboldt lilies from time to time. There's that old greenhouse at the Quad? Yeah, the Quad Ranch. There's Jeff on a piece of ground right outside the La Quad Ranch. That's our first trailer we ever bought. It's good you didn't have acquaintance with Tree of Life at this time because the facilities, as it were, was an outhouse just on the other side of that trailer. And the outhouse was a pit with an outhouse around it. You know? It's pretty crude. There's Carlin and Fred again at the top of the Oh, one time at some nursery, LaQuag? Where's that wrong? It's got asphalt. LaQuag. I asked all the plants that occur on the Channel Islands if they would please come in for a photo. So that was something happened there. What's going on here? Just, I'm not sure if we're gonna. Manzanita cut up in a cooking poison oak? No. Aeschylus in seed, we tried deep trays like this with root pruning, what's called air pruning, where the roots go down, find that screen. Below the screen is air, so they don't grow any more. They form a fibrous root system. It's a system called air pruning. We played around with big woody seeds like buckeye, walnut, oak, cherry, with things like that. There's that lab dandelion again out in the garden. There is a place at the LaQuag Ranch that we call the Dana Point San Juan project on the headlands of Dana Point is underway. And somebody brought us dump truck loads full of that glorious sand. Just this beautiful old blonde sand from Dana Point. And we built these mounds and then grew coastal plants on it. And it was just so much fun to go out there and look at it and see the velvet ant and the lizard and whatever else was there. It was just like wonderland. There's that ribofolium crop again. 3 of our plant propagators in our original barn. She really wasn't working with us at the time, but she was a dear friend. Julia and Gloria. And Gloria is still with us, as you know. So this is a long time ago. There's someone called Lisa Iwata, and we're trying to remember if that other person is recognizable to anybody in view. But she's a landscape architect that was with us back in the day. That's a guy, a botanist, you may know him, Fred Sproul from San Diego. You know Fred, great botanist. His famous quote that I use all the time. Fred Sproul said, "Every common name is correct." And these are some plants being potted into the LaQuag Ranch every day. Back to here, laying out the pipes again. Something going on, some kind of shade for some reason, temporary shade. Rami, mixing soil. We mixed our last batch of soil. No, I can't say that. We just bought our last batch of ingredients last week. And I took pictures of the dump truck leaving them behind because that was really, seriously, very emotional for us to imagine after hundreds of batches of potting soil that Ronald has made out there. There's those weird tar paper, handmade tree tubes in the fruit boxes. We had a guy called Tony, and he was retired. He didn't know what to do with his time, so he would go by all the Mexican markets and bring us these fruit boxes, which at the time is how they shipped table grapes. And so we had these things were coming out of our ears because Tony wouldn't stop. So we put them to use. There's the tin can. Some of you now remember recently being just completely trashed. That's what it looked like when it was brand new. Ted St. John was going to grow mycorrhizal host plants inside this tin can with lights in order to keep them completely clean and sterile. This was a big experiment in our world of beneficial fungi on the root balls of plants, keep them clean. So we had a welder come and do some of this work, and we told him we were going to grow celery plants in here in order to grow mycorrhizae and grow lights. Grow lights is the key, grow lights. And this long hair welder says, yeah man, whatever. There's some corn, we tried that didn't work. Oh God, that was a repeat. This is the field that we grew cantaloupes on, and we didn't know you're supposed to plant them few rows at a time so that they ripen a few at a time over a long haul. So we put in like 4 acres of cantaloupes in the store. In the store, no buyers, no market. We're not in the produce business. We don't know anything. We don't even have a phone number for somebody that buys cantaloupes. But we had heard that there was going to be a shortage. There's so many. Oh man.
So what were they saying about you being the ideal one?
Yeah. Yeah, but you went along with it.
Guilty as charged.
Covering for winter night. Husto, I think that is. Romo's brother on the tractor. There's Jeff. Okay, I cannot say enough, seriously, about what Katie mentioned, about this dedication to the care of plants. Okay? This is his life. All right? And it's not just spraying. Don't think that. It's
Rifles.
well, no, it is
spray
spraying. Wait a minute, it is spraying. No, it's researching biologicals. It's integrated pest management. It's pest management practices. It's keeping us clean with all of the inspectors, county, state, everybody that want to know what you're doing out there. Water quality, runoff, fuel in the vehicles. You know, there's a bunch of regulations and forms to fill out and hoops to jump through in order to run a nursery, as well as keeping plants clean from injurious plant pests and disease. And we can't say enough about his dedication to this endeavor the entire time, the real grower. So there's a little spot in front of what was the office. This was a brown trailer. Then it became green and was called the trailer previously known as brown. And we're just now trying to get rid of it. Okay, there's some school kids. Ain't that cute? Oh yeah, I think that might be Debbie down there in the blue sweatshirt. Debbie, does that look like Debbie? Could be. Oh, wait, I think I see her back in that. No. All right, this is Ariaga and Dana Point, one of our introductions. And we could go through. Jeff and I were reminiscing. We got Firecracker, Calvisia, we've got Zalchinaria, I'm using all the names, Zalchinaria, Catalina, we've got Dana Point, we've got Little Sir Ramnus, we've got, what else we got? Cloudburst, Condea, that's the new name, that's a really good plant, by the way. Carissima, Lavatera, handful of plants that we've introduced over the years. Okay, willows. See these long sticks? We're going to grow plants out of these long sticks by planting hardwood cuttings. There they are in the field, planted many hundreds and thousands so that they will strike root in the ground. We had big orders for willows in those days. And when they would root, the hardwood cutting rooted would look something like that. So this is a contraption that is meant for the purpose, that is to lift bare root trees at their dormant season. It goes through and undercuts the root and shakes the tree, kind of like a potato harvester, shakes the tree to the surface, then you come along by hand and harvest these bare root trees and treat them from there. Either sell them bare root or put them in containers on like that. So Jeff and I researched, because we're a couple of kids from San Juan Capistrano, that, you know, it's all containers, it's subtropical, you know. And we went to Utah to study this under the guidance of a Forest Service person called Tom Larson, tree nursery consultant from the USDA. And, you know, we tried to figure out, what do you do to grow trees that go dormant in the winter in mass, in the ground, because we got great ground, bare root. And so there they are, healed into a pile of sawdust, waiting for their next home. Okay, so there's some, you know, we were in the willow business for a while. This is Santiago, right, Tommy? Is that Carlos? Yeah. Thank you. It's unbelievable. Ronald knows everybody, even ones that have been gone for so long, and he's just amazing memory. Okay, so there's willows, you know, being watered. It's like willow. We did pretty well with willows. Okay, it's mid-90s. Honestly, I was going to get a personalized license plate on a brand new car, because, you know, this one we didn't kind of get, and I could afford a brand new car, and I was gonna get the license that said Willow. But I thought, that's pretentious. What if I pull up to like a conference and there's a bunch of biologists there, and they know I just did this right here. And now I'm driving this new car with a personalized plate that says Willow. So I didn't do that. But I got species. I got the word species. And then a few years later, on a different vehicle, I got the word genus. And I still have them, genus and species. I park them right next to each other. Okay, this was to show and tell, bare root. I can remember this photo. It was staged. This is midsummer. I had to put a sweatshirt on to make it look like winter, like orange season. You know, and you can tell because the stems are green. We defoliated these poor plants, yanked them out of the growing bed in order to tell everybody about bare root for some ad or something. We were doing some commercial. And it was like, take the photo, it's 100 degrees out. Okay, so there's Jeff at a bandsaw cutting hardwood cuttings for production of willow during this period that we were in the willow business. What was this all about? Flycatcher, willow flycatcher, thank you, leaf-belled vireo. So this was when the Endangered Species Act had some teeth, and some agencies were still required to, Caltrans especially, to restore riparian habitat or mitigate for riparian habitat that they were impacted with mostly bridges and things like that over riparian. So there's willow as far as you can see. Okay, this is a little bit of a story, but this is Pancho Villa and his band of pistoleros. Okay, so this is our guys. You can see Jeff is here, and Mike is here, we're almost there on the far left. And there's Rodolfo in the middle, Justo, and Carlos. Okay? And the statute of limitations is long gone. So I'm going to go ahead and come clean on this. We got a job in Sonoma County near Cloverdale. 101, Highway 101 was going to be rerouted. You can drive it today. The highway was done, and they were impacting some branch of the Russian River. I think it's the South Fork of the Russian River through Cloverdale. And any like fishing game in here? Okay, so we got the contract. The contract was to get the cuttings from the site, which is a very reasonable spec. And we're in Orange County, and this is Sonoma County, and the contract read contractors responsible for all permits and all things, Fish and Game and Fish and Wildlife Flood Control and Army Corps and County of Sonoma and State of California. You know, everybody would want to weigh in on us going into this riverbed to collect cuttings, right? Are you with me?
Yeah.
So we thought that it was as good as permission to just look official. So we went to JCPenney and we got khakis. Khakis for everyone. Khakis for all. And we descended on the town of Cloverdale in 3 vehicles. Jeff and Mike in one, the guys in another, and we flew up to SFO and we got a rental car, and they had our truck, and we assaulted, is the good word, the riverbed for 4 days. We stayed in a little hotel, we ate in a restaurant in the Main Street in Cloverdale. It was a gas. We were having a good old time. And by about day 3, people were wondering what's this going on, and I had a clipboard. Okay, so you got a guy with khakis and the riverbed carrying a clipboard. It's pretty official. So I think, wildlife, it's people jogging, it's neighbors, it's folks on the side. And I said, wildlife, restoration, I don't even know if that was a word, revegetation, habitat, just throw out some words, appease the questions, and meanwhile, we're cutting. Okay, so there's Pancho Villa and his band of people there. And that's literally what we brought the cuttings home with, was a semi-refrigerator that met us there. And then we offloaded these long, it was worth it, okay? They got their plants. Okay, the river got restored with site-specific plants. And the permits, they're on file down in the basement somewhere. You can find them if you carry a flashlight. And so But that got thrown in here at random. That's way before, that's 15 years before, but this vehicle was called La Cariñosa. And the best nursery vehicle we've ever had. So back to the willows, here's Rami undercutting to cut the roots. There is Herman. Is it Herman?
Yes. That's our man.
This is the rows that are going back up to the site. Yes, yeah. In sequence, we're way off. I told you we would be. This is the crop that was going to go back to Cloverdale as mature plants planted by a contractor to restore the Russian River after the impact by Highway 101. This is digging them out of the ground. And then we took our tailwater for a long, that's a dog called Tiki's. We took our tailwater from the nursery and channeled it into a willow grove. I don't know how that got in there, it's out of sequence. This is Busto collecting seed of poison oak. Back to the willows, there's Jeff with the long whips of willow. And there he is in front of some field. We were farmers. We were farming willow in the ground. And those are the trucks that we used to deliver the plants back to Cloverdale and to the planting poison oak. Here's a guy called Dave Bontrager. Many of you may remember him. He was a biologist working for Fish and Wildlife Service. And we knew him from the Carlsbad office with Dick Zimbo and others, heavyweight master's degree in biology, this whole thing, we're just a couple of growers getting our feet wet and going surfing every now and then. And he comes and wants a job at Tree of Life Nursery. I can't tell you how intimidated I was at the idea that we hired Dave Bontrager, this wildlife biologist. But he was a great addition to the nursery during that time. This is the coffee pot that went bad and caused this fire. We think it may have been another factor, but it's safer and more kind to blame the coffee pot. But we did lose our barn, but when I said, no, it's the one that burnt, that's the one that burnt. After it burnt, that's what it looked like on a certain day. We were pretty bummed. Yeah, like real bummed. It was a January fire, I'm gonna go back, in nighttime, everything around, it was raining, during the period. It had not rained that night, but it was not a wildfire, it was a coffee maker. And so then we held a workshop on how to build with straw bale. There's Danny and Casper, not Casper, yes Casper? Yes. And we built a little, and then we started building the barn, which you all know. There it is going up. See, these are the days before we were open to the general public. Many of you may not have ever seen the nursery during this period. We had a workshop, a couple churches, ours, Jeff's and Mike's, came here to help us raise the walls of the barn. Started plastering. There's the White House in the barn. There's some more plaster going on the barn. The barn's taking shape. We're drawing to a close here. There's the interior of the barn before it became all messy. And then we decided, hey, let's build an office. Our office. We did a cool floor, and we thought that I have lots of slides, dozens, if not hundreds of slides of all these construction. Here's our office under construction with Terry Valdez, who did all of our work for us. He's moved to North Carolina now, and his son Shane. And this was a workshop for, I think, the office. And then we built the roundhouse as a workshop building. And there's just kind of a random shot of some, out of a cannon pile. Ramia white cloud from root cuttings, which we took very seriously over all these years. And many of you know that Ramia white cloud was discovered by Theodore Payne in a nursery in the 40s, and then grown by the Theodore Payne nursery, and then went into virtual obscurity. We had a friend called Art Tyree who actually introduced Jeff and Mike. He was the matchmaker. And he knew where there was a plant of white cloud growing in someone's backyard in Pasadena. That person was on the board of directors of the Theodore Payne Foundation, as I recall. And so we asked permission, went to that backyard, took cuttings, root cuttings, grew them, and reintroduced it as white cloud. So frankly, Tree of Life will take credit for reintroduction of a really great native plant called from, White Cloud. So here's those two guys again, you know who they are, with a bare root willow. And sorry that those slides were not in any kind of order whatsoever. Thanks for the random walks through time. It's kind of like family vacation, grandpa. So thank you very much. Not that I'm, I really am serious. If you'd like to see the next 20
Yes.
years of some future month meeting,
Sure.
and you will be in it, your faces. Because after we opened to the general public around 2000, 2001, we have a lot of events, we have workshops, we have, dogs getting pet, we got music at Casa La Paz. It turned into a whole different nursery. So these early years, which in many ways we've been reminiscing, were kind of easier. Not that you people are difficult. That's not the implication. It's just that we were just growing, with the gate shut. And you know what I'm saying? It was just we had a big sign that said wholesale only. And but we're thankful that it morphed into a movement with people and open to the general public, and how frightened we were. Oh my gosh, we have a lease on this ranch, and we're going to open the doors, and people are going to come and go, and what if there's a traffic accident? And we were very concerned. But over time, it just grew into what you know as Casa La Paz, and the workshops and the vibe that we all enjoy right now. So that's, let me just put in one plug, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Many of you know that over the last 3 years, and especially in the last one, I've been working on a nonprofit called California Native Horticultural Foundation, calnativehort.org. It's up and running. We want it to be the continuation of the Tree of Life. Check it out.
Those guys, they look so young.
Still do.
Yeah, right. I think, I like a lot of the growing, but, the nursery really is, it was both of us, Mike going out and promoting, and what he does, like he just did, his enthusiasm, which is contagious, and it's been a really good partnership throughout the time. We remain friends, although some of our employees might question that based on some of our arguments. But we've always made it up. And I was thinking, one of the things that, when we started, we really wanted to make a difference. I mean, that was the thing that really drove us, was we felt so committed to native plants. I mean, they just made sense on so many different levels. And so that was kind of the driving force that really kept us motivated, kept us going. And, in order to make a difference, you have to be different. And so we did a lot of things differently. We've had so many people come through that have helped us make a difference. And some of you are here, Laura, and I'm going to forget everybody's. But you know who you are, and we're just so appreciative of all the difference that you made in our lives in order to do what we did. And we're really, when we look back, Mike's continuing on with the foundation. My life is taking a different turn, but I hope to stay, always connected with either mentoring other growers, sharing the information that I have. Mike's very generous with sharing his information as well. But we just so appreciate the difference that you've all made. We wouldn't be Tree of Life without all of you. All of your desire to make a difference has been so impactful in your communities. So I just want to thank you all for hosting us, just giving us an opportunity to be Tree of Life. Thanks.
anyone have any questions, I can come around with the mic.
I don't know if I'm the only one here who's ignorant, but I'd really like to hear more about your foundation.
Who wants to hear more about the foundation you mentioned?
The website is calnativeport.org, and the desire is that there will be a dependable and trustworthy voice for horticulture, native plant horticulture only. And I envision to be someday a statewide organization. It is set up, 501(c)(3), we have a board of directors, the executive director is called Michelle Matthews, she's wonderful. So it's new, and I just encourage you to go online and see our mission statement and what we're doing. Yeah.
I have read it.
Oh.
I'm wondering, beyond that, where are you taking it? What are you open? Are you offering classes? Are you teaching? Where are you going to be?
We're looking for a physical location. I have a couple irons in the fire regarding the physical nursery. I'd like to have a training nursery that makes plants available to the general public. I don't want to grow wholesale, and I don't want to repeat what we've done. But I would love a spot to grow native plants with people, employees as well as volunteers, and sell them and have workshops. But also there are, I don't want to take too much time on this foundation thing, but I appreciate the question. The NAT in San Diego Botanic Garden, EMC, a few people, expressed some interest in hosting or partnering in a workshop or a talk or a activity. So as a nonprofit, I see it hopefully cooperating, CNPS, cooperating with businesses as well as nonprofits, the goal being to promote the horticultural use of native plants.
Stay tuned.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Dan?
I just wanted to say thanks for, back when you guys were at the old location, Rod and I came out in an old white stake bed, and we had just started learning, I'd already gotten stuff from Rancho as far as knowledge with John and Lee Lenz and those guys before Art started there, but we were kind of new at it, and we were starting the garden at Gold West College. You gave us a bishop pine in a box because it was rooted through, and you were afraid it was going to die if you moved it. Probably we thought it was a really generous thing, but I think you were just trying to get rid of it. And also,
It lived, that's the question.
it lived and it did really well. I just do want to say though that it tipped over in a wind about 3 years ago. Yeah, but it was a beautiful tree for a long time because that's.
So you got no reason whatsoever to ever grow bishop pine in Orange County, nor Toria Californica. Nor, we did these crazy things. Like right now, I don't even have a nursery. And there's 40 pounds of Quercus kelloggi waiting for me in Julian. The guy calls me, you want some black oak seed? Yes. It's a disease. 40 pounds. But one year we sowed 300 pounds of Quercus agrifolius. Yeah. I mean, what? What are we doing? The bishop pine, Pinus americana. Where did we go to like Lake County and what did we do? How did we get that?
It was in a box when I got it, so
Yeah.
it was a 24-inch box by the time I got it from you, so you'd had it for a few years.
To go back on that one. You remember Rami for Pinus americana?
All right, Mike, we've got time for one more question. I've got one back here for you. Mike?
My question is, what's gonna happen to the land that you've been leasing? What is it, 40 or so acres?
We call it 40 acres. It's technically a little less. Thank you for that question. What's going to happen to the land? The 6 acres, which you know as Casa La Paz, the barn, the office, the roundhouse, the area that is kind of where the general public roams, is going to become the headquarters for the Rancho Mission Viejo Reserve. So as you know, Rancho Mission Viejo has a someday to be 20,000 acre nature reserve as part of their master plan for development. 20,000 acres is set aside permanent open space Right now, they have a headquarters close to where Tree of Life Nursery is, in the house that Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill had. And I feel somewhat honored that they have said they will use that site that we created with the gardens and those buildings as their new headquarters for the nature reserve, which means families and kids and interpretive programs and a center for the education and the promotion of open space on the Rancho Mission Viejo. So that's our landlord, and what they've said they're going to do with the land that we know as Tree of Life Nursery. So that's a pretty good story right there. Great.
Is that going to be open anytime?
Yes, that, I don't know what their timeline is. You know, you've read on the website that we're closing in December. We're gonna squeak into the early months of 2026. You know, we're just not gonna be able to get rid of all the plants before then. And we have some contracts that Jeff is growing, huge contracts, that some of the deliveries will be delayed into the first part of 2026. So, that close date isn't a hard date, but it's still a target date. When they occupy the ground and start doing what they're gonna do, I really don't know. Probably a long time. I don't think they're gonna move right in. They're gonna need somebody to take care of all that garden, and I hope it will be California Native Horticultural Foundation. Because we know how to do it. So there's a possibility.
Okay, one more.
Did you ever find evidence of an archaeological site on your properties?
Evidence of an archaeological site.
Every day.
Yeah, kind of absolutely.
Read Mike's stuff?
Okay. We found some artifacts, some stone artifacts, mostly grinding tools, on the surface and in the creek nearby, okay, and a scraper or two, okay. There was a spring undoubtedly by our front gate, because even in historic times, the game warden on the ranch told me there was an artesian well there. And you know what an artesian well is? It's a pipe in the ground that water comes out of. So I'm thinking that before there was an artesian well, there was a spring when the water table was higher. So I wouldn't call it quite a village site. Who knows? I'm not an archaeologist, but definitely occupied kind of regularly. But so were so many places along the San Juan Creek and the Jujuco Creek and San Joaquin Marsh, and, you know, just point. And the Ahashiman people were here. So, yes, the answer is yes. And we, you know, there's a spirit about the place. When we first got there, you could feel it. And today you can't. And so we tried to honor, in all seriousness, we tried to honor that, the spirit of the land, the integrity of the land, by carrying on a meaningful conversation with that land for 40 years on the ranch, 45 in business. And you were all part of that. All those events, all that, those workshops, everything, those activities, everything that happened there was part of that spirit. It was part of those children laughing and those dogs and those kids and men and women coming and going. It's still there. It's when I get, it's really hard some days to walk around and look at stuff, and then other days it's like, thank you God, you just gave us this for this time. It's been so awesome. So keep coming around. We'll be there for a few more weeks, several more weeks, and that spirit will never go away. Okay? The spirit will. Yeah, the land is really a special place. And I just one more thing. Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill. Mrs. O'Neill came to our nursery on the La Quag Ranch to buy plants for her garden. And it is because of that woman that we located where we are. She invited us onto what was then their private thoroughbred farm on the Rancho Mission Viejo. And we were privileged to occupy ground that was not only part of the O'Neill Ranch, but it was Mr. O'Neill's sort of set-aside place for his thoroughbred horses. And to me, and to Jeff, to us, it's the most beautiful parcel on the whole ranch. I mean, those sycamores and those oaks are no small deal. That's like 500, 600, 700 years worth of tree in each one of those. And when we first got there, we were absolutely blown away that we were going to have a chance at this place. And you saw those early photos. You know, when we got there, it had been used to raise alfalfa for Mr. O'Neill's thoroughbred horses. And so there was one big pipe running the center of it, transite. Oh, transite, that's got lead in it. Yeah, transite. And asbestos. Sorry, not lead. Whatever, one of them. Still there. We drink bottled water. Not asbestos. But we were very privileged to have been offered that land by the O'Neills. And so we're forever grateful to Mrs. O'Neill, especially Mr. O'Neill, and the Rancho Mission Viejo, Tony Moiso, and the entire family that has kind of treated us very well there. Right.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Everyone, feel free to hang out for a few minutes. You can, hassle Jeff and Mike for any questions they didn't already answer, and just, enjoy the time. It's really nice having you all here today.